Hello, it's me again, der buyer, and I thought it would be a great idea to get back into automation and try to build my little blue Gordini and see how much of a sorcerer Amédée Gordini really was. So Amédée Gordini was really known for getting a lot of power out of small engines, so let's see if we can replicate the car, if we can get to the same power levels, and then maybe in the end see how it drives. So I got a little reference material. I got a book here telling me a few stats about the car I was driving. So it's the Gordini T23S, which is a chassis built in 1952 based on a previous single-seater chassis from 1949. So let's see if I can get a suitable body for the car from that era. So the small E-Type based body should be suitable. The real car was 2.24 meters wheelbase, so this one is good enough and also has a very basic aerodynamic shape. I will play around with the years in the tech pool to make it a 49 car and make the variant then in 1952. Then with regards to the car model. So with regards to the car model setup, the panel material was aluminium, apparently. The chassis type, more of a leather frame than a space frame. They built very fragile space framey stuff to hold the body, but the actual structural part is leather. Then we have of course a steel frame for that. Front engine. In the front suspension it was independent, so I choose the only one available here. It was kind of like double wishbone. And in the rear they had a solid axle with torsion bar suspension. I choose solid axle coil here because a coil is just a spiraled up torsion bar basically. So that should be good enough. So the engine is from 1952. It seems to be a new design, not based on any Fiat or Simca engines, so we'll choose that as the model year. And it's an inline 6 with a bore of 80 and stroke of 82. The head design was a dual overhead cam, but only 2 valves per cylinder. This was actually not in my material, but I took a look at old photos and there it's pretty clear that Gordini always had 2 valves per cylinder. Also the valve dimensions tell me that it can only be 1 valve per cylinder. It was 42 mm on the inlet side and 38 mm on the outlet. So pretty clear that it's a 2 valve setup. And yeah, the interesting part is that it was aluminium already. So we need a bit more tech pool. It's not just the head, also the block was aluminium. So with the right family year, 1952, I need only 8 tech pool to get aluminium. Sounds about right. So the bottom end in general was very basic. My reference material said nothing about forged parts. The pistons were lightweight, that's all it said. So I'll choose the lightweight version of the cast. We don't get any lightweight forged parts here in automation anytime soon here in the timeline. Anyway, so that'll have to do. I don't have any data on top end settings except that max power was at 6.5. So let's set the RPM limit a bit higher than that. Carburetors were a triple side draft Weber setup, so DCOE it is. And as it was race car, I go for race, obviously. Fuel is 92 RON only, so we'll see how that goes. Headers in Gordini engines typically look to me like tubular long. Not spaghetti, but reasonably advanced. Alright, the first draft tells us 147 horsepower. We need to get up to a range between 198 and 228. So there were several iterations of these engines, they were constantly tuned, so I at least have to aim for about 200 horsepower and need to see how I can get that. So I'd say we're getting there. We have already 180 horsepower. Didn't invest any quality yet. Amédée Gordini was known as the sorcerer, the engine wizard. So a bit of quality definitely is allowed. He was known for polishing up the heads, the inlet and outlet ports like crazy. So I think quality in the intake and heads area is definitely allowed to be used here. So after a bit of fiddling and going to 5 engine family quality, I was able to achieve more than 200 horsepower from this engine. So definitely a bit of quality is needed. Sorcerer confirmed. And yeah, let's see how it sounds. Let's put it onto the test bench. Yeah, engine seems to be working. We have a bit of stress in the bottom end. I think that's fine. I could also go for quality here, but Gordinis were quite famous for not making it to the end of a race. So yeah, I think that's good enough. Gordini also had an hydraulic engine test bench in his workshop, so he was really equipped to tune the engines, to tweak them. And yeah, that's how he got so much power out of them. It was really all about constant refinement of what they had. They didn't have a lot of technology available, so it all had to be done with passion, with endless effort, and he was a master in that. Alright, let's go to the car. First of all, first thing we have to fix is of course the color. Even though Gordini was Italian, red is not acceptable, and he also got a French passport after a few years. So I think I'm pretty much done with the exterior design. Didn't all work out as I wanted, but I got pretty close. The body was not perfect. Yeah, it looks a bit different than the version in rFactor 2. That's mainly because rFactor 2, the car was based on another mod or another car, an AC Cobra, and just the cars have just been adjusted to somewhat look like the real ones. I took a look at reference material and tried to get as close as possible to the real car. Yeah, I covered all the seams that were in the original body which didn't really match. Tried to get the real hood going on here. I got a tonneau cover here, got my nice number. The rear was very basic, just two lights for braking and yeah, lighting the car. I think that's basically how it would roughly have looked like. Race cars of course always have evolved, always have been changed in between races, but so far I'm quite happy. So now let's go to the mechanicals of the car. 4-speed gearbox obviously, yeah, I will adjust the gearing later. It goes in rFactor 2 around 235, so this should be good enough. All of these things I said now are basically based on what I think is reasonable. So we're in 1952, radials are available, but race cars back in the day typically ran on cross plies. From the texture itself, I would say this sports compound looks pretty nice, but I give it a bit of extra quality. Yeah, 145 tires, again something I would estimate, maybe it was a bit more than that, but I'm already looking forward to the grip, to all of the grip I won't have. So yeah, I'm through now once, now it's time to optimize a bit and try to set it up so that it's actually drivable in Beam. 230 kilometers an hour looks reasonable when you compare it to how it does in rFactor 2. I don't know about the diff. In rFactor 2 you have the setting for a diff, but I don't think all of these options actually make sense for the car. Let me know in the comments if you have a different opinion. Yeah, tires are fine I think. Brakes, yeah, for drivability in Beam, definitely you don't want to have locking brakes in the rear. Aero wise, I would leave it as it is. Top speed was fine. Cooling, yeah, it's somewhat arbitrary anyway, so I think it's fine. Interior, it was convertible. Obviously I have to choose something. Detachable soft top, okay. One seat, basically it's a two-seater. Could also choose two, it doesn't really make a big difference regarding the weight. And then we have of course rack and pinion steering, no safety. I optimized already the weight of the car, but I think it's still a bit on the heavy side. So I might just try to get it below 800, and I think I do that with chassis quality. 787 kilos should be good enough. Suspension settings, I try to set it up a bit on the understeering side, because in Beam I always have issues with rear-wheel drive cars, especially with no grip. So let's hope this is somewhat drivable. And then in the end, let's take a look at the test track. What does it say? 8.5 seconds from 0 to 100. The rest looks somewhat okay, I think. And then let's just take the automation test track time and see if I can do better or worse than that. 235, let's remember that. And I still need to set up the camera positions for Beam. So let me just do that and then we're ready to export the car to Beam. And there we are. I chose the Italy map as a first location for a driving test to see how it goes and to get accustomed to the car. Yeah, it is as tail happy as I thought it would be. Let's also see how it does as an off-roader. Yeah, a bit stiff, but I never really got rear-wheel drive to work. I'm looking forward to the new tow settings we will get, and then it should be a bit easier to make rear-wheel drive cars more stable. Other than that, it feels quite okay, I would say. Maybe the gears are a bit long. So I mean, especially the spacing. But other than that, it's okay. I could have also messed with the engine sound a bit. I never did that, I always forget. But so far, I think it is alright. It's a bit wobbly in the rear. And yeah, high-speed corners. Lift, of course, is a thing. A bit difficult to drive there. And I think that's the end of our test. Yep, the car doesn't want to go anywhere, I think, anymore. So let's head to the track. .235 to beat. Yeah, it is very, very lively at the rear. Shifted too early. Now the scary fast corner. Oh no, no, don't leave me now, Gordini. Come back to me. Oh, thank God. Now Bavarian bend. Oof, it's so painful. Who designed that freaking corner? But I think we're good in time. A few more to go. Cossack corner. Oh, it's not my best driving. I think I prefer R-Factor 2. Off, and there we are. Time looks good. Yes, 230. Automation stick, eat my dust. Yeah, that was quite successful. And also a successful crash at the end, of course. Oh, little wheelie, where are you going? Come back to me. Come back. No. Okay. Yeah, I think that was a fun little experiment, trying to see how I can replicate my championship winning Gordini. I think it was quite successful, even though I could still work on the looks side of things, especially the front lights. If you have any suggestions how I could make those better, or if there's a better body for that, please let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed, and see you all next time for a race in R Factor 2 probably. Thanks for watching, bye bye.